Well, it is day 43. 43 days into our 90-day volunteer recruiting challenge. Here's the fun part, because it's day 43, we're just 2 days away from the halfway point. So where do we sit halfway into our 90-day challenge as I'm trying to recruit 50 volunteers over the course of the next 90 days? Well, in the last 7 days, in the last 67 days, we've recruited 6 more volunteers representing 5.5 more weekly volunteers. Now again, we've recruited them, we've not onboarded them yet. We don't know what step of the process, if somebody's gonna drop off or they're gonna become an every other week volunteer versus a weekly volunteer. So again, remember, this process is still, we're not counting our chickens before they hatch, but 6 new volunteers added to the list, 5.5 representing weekly volunteers, and we just keep edging closer and closer to our goal. So here's where we stand right now. Over the last almost 45 days, 43 days, we have recruited 42 individuals, 42 humans, okay? That's awesome, 42 people. Now, again, the goal is 50. Now, this number doesn't count towards the 50 necessarily because I don't know that they're all gonna make it. I don't know that they're all gonna serve weekly, and this is just individual humans, but it's 42 individual people. And if I go through my list and I identify who I think is likely going to make it, because some of these people came to an orientation, but then they've never taken the next step. And they haven't responded to more promptings. And so 42 humans recruited, and I believe from these 42, we're going to land 35 of them. So 35 of them, it's not bad. We're well over our halfway point. Again, this is still all estimations. Now, what about when it comes to weekly? Because this recruiting challenge wasn't just about 50 humans. It was actually 50 volunteers who serve weekly. Now, there's a couple exceptions. There's a couple worship or storyteller positions that are every other week, you know, and we're going to count them as every other week. But I'm counting that net number of weekly equivalent. Okay, weekly equivalent. So I'm going for 50. So of the 42 humans, the 35 that I think are likely, where do I stand right now as far as my weekly commitment? So of the 42, I have slated right now that about 39 of them will, of the 42, it will equal 39 equivalent weekly volunteers, okay? 39, that's only 11 away from our goal. However, when I go through with a fine-tooth comb and I'm looking at who's likely, who's not, and those things, I get closer to a number of 32, okay? 32 weekly equivalent volunteers from the 42 in total. So not bad. We are not quite halfway to the end of our challenge, but we're a little over halfway with our challenge goal of 50 weekly volunteers. So the advantage that we have now is that, you know, at the beginning part of the challenge, it took 3 to 4 weeks just to get this thing rolling. And now every time we have an orientation, it's a new batch of people. We are continuing to onboard people, interview people, train people. So we're moving faster now. People are onboarding. Now we're still having to try different things to get more people, but we are moving. So I feel, if you were to ask me right now, I feel very confident that we're gonna hit our goal. Now I always kind of believed that we're gonna hit our goal, but now I have some significant confidence that halfway in, we're gonna hit our goal. I think we're gonna exceed our goal, but I'm feeling jazzed. This is great. So thank you so much for being on the journey with me, seeing what I'm doing on a weekly and even daily basis to recruit, and hopefully land 50 additional weekly volunteers as we grow our ministry and get to where we need to go. So what about you? Where are you in your process right now? How many new volunteers do you have? How many weekly equivalents? How's the journey going for you halfway into this challenge?